Well, they say that milk, it does a body good, but by wearing milky lactonic fragrances, will it make a body smell good? Maybe it will. Guys, today I'm talking about milky lactonic fragrances. This is a video I've been planning for many years. I've been wanting to do a video chock full of milky lactonic fragrances, and finally it's up and aired today. But it wasn't me just wanting this particular video. A lot of you were asking me as well. You've been wanting me to get a video done of milky lactonic fragrances. So today I've got a top 22 list of milky lactonic fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today I'm talking about milky lactonic fragrances. And the fragrances here either utilize a milk note or are notes that don't necessarily mean they're milk notes, but they come off milky. So not only do we have milk as a note, but we also have fragrances that are lactonic without the usage of milk in the notes. Yes, that could happen. Typically with sandalwood it happens for me. I've got several fragrances that mostly utilize a note of sandalwood, but the wearing experience is very, very milky and creamy. And milky fragrances, lactonic fragrances, I find to be very cozy, very comforting, soothing. The creaminess, kind of going into the gourmand direction, kind of creates this kind of like a very, very relaxed feel when you wear the fragrances. A lot of great stuff here. Probably some you don't know about, probably some you do know about. Before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into this channel and you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. Jumping right into this. So it's a ranked list, but I've put into consideration how much milkiness there is in a fragrance, also what I love the most. So those are kind of like considerations, and this is how the list ended up. But we're starting off with a fragrance from the house of LORGA Parfums, CUIR AFFINE. Basically means refined leather. It's a leather fragrance, definitely smoky, tobacco-ish, a little nutty, and then it also has this kind of like a milky note. I wanted a little more milky presence with this one. It does feature it, you can definitely experience it, but for me it's more about the leather and tobacco with that nuttiness. But it also features tuberose and bergamot. So first fragrance at number 22, it's CUIR AFFINE from the house of LORGA Parfums. Moving on to the house of XERJOFF, and I've got two fragrances here, and even though I love XERJOFF and I like this fragrance, but something rubs me the wrong way about this particular fragrance. I don't know what it is. It doesn't really feature a milkiness as well. No, it does feature a milkiness. It doesn't feature a milky note. I'm talking about CRUZ del CER 2, and I think it's that kind of creamy mango pineapple combo that's kind of maybe rubbing me the wrong way a little bit. I like it, but sometimes I'm experiencing like mashed fruit, you know, like mashed inside of milk kind of a wearing experience. So it's kind of odd that way, but it does feature mango, pineapple, floral bouquet, cedarwood, musk, and they've left off the milk, and I get kind of like a chocolatey milk experience here. So it's milky chocolatey in contrast with the mango pineapple. So perhaps this is kind of what's rubbing me the wrong way. I wanted to feature it because this is known for lactonic experience, so I'm featuring it here. There's also sandalwood here, so it's probably that combination with the sandalwood. As I was saying, sandalwood does have a milky creaminess, and maybe that's what's kind of creating this like milky quality here with CRUZ del CER 2. So that's from the house of XERJOFF. Moving on to the house of JACQUES. It's TEMPETE du Automne, this one right here. I don't know if you guys know this one, but as soon as you smell it, you do have that kind of milky quality. And it does feature sandalwood along with milk. And there's some spices and some aromatics thrown in here. So it's kind of like a very cozy autumn experience, you know. Sitting in front of a fire, it's cool outside, not necessarily extremely cold, but you get that kind of chill in the air. That's kind of the experience this is. But this features sandalwood, milk, mandarin, some coriander, tonka, lavender. It does have a bit of a leatheriness. It's got some musk, ylang ylang, pink pepper, and orange. Definitely worth checking out. TEMPETE du Automne from the house of JACQUES. Look into that particular fragrance. I put this one here. I don't know why, but I ended up putting this one here. This is from the house of COMPTOIR PACIFIQUE. I've got two fragrances from this house, and this house does lots of gourmands, and I believe they have a lot of milky fragrances, lactonic fragrances as well. This is Vanille Extreme. This is vanilla, heliotrope, sugar, and milk. So there's definitely a milkiness there, but it's not uber milky. So that's why one of the reasons why I put it lower. But definitely you experience the milkiness, but it's sugary, sweet, powdery, and very, very vanillic. So Vanille Extreme from the house of COMPTOIR Sud Pacifique is at number 19. Moving on to the house of Molten Brown. This is Milk Musk in the Eau de Parfum concentration. For me, I get, you know, the EDT and the EDP are very similar. It's that there's more milkiness with Milk Musk in the EDP in comparison to the Milk Musk in EDT, if that makes sense. But there's a milky accord here, and then it features notes of Elemi resin, vanilla, Ambroxan, Benzoin, and Tonka beans. So where are they getting this milk accord? According to Molten Brown's website, they have a milk accord. So something in here is creating this milkiness, which I do find quite nice. But then again, I feel like there's sandalwood here, which is the note they've left off, because it does have a very sandalwoody experience. But it's a great fragrance. Somehow I ended up putting it at number 18. Some of you might find this to be more at the top of the list, but for me, Milk Musk EDP is at number 18. Moving on to the house of MANOS Guerraquines. This is Immortelle, this one right here. And I put this one low as well because, you know, there's a milkiness there, but it's not necessarily uber milky. For me, this is more like a speculous experience, like a cookie butter experience. So, you know, there's a little bit of a milkiness in there, but it's definitely a gourmand, and it features Immortelle front and center. This Immortelle note is known as the everlasting flower, and when used in perfumes, it creates a kind of a brown, sugary, caramelized, lightly burned kind of an experience, reminding us of speculous or, you know, cookie butter. But it does feature milk, sandalwood, cinnamon, cloves, patchouli, in addition to the Immortelle and the brown sugar. Yummy fragrance, Immortelle from the house of Manos Guerraquines. Moving on to the house of Théo Cabanel, it's Café Cabanel. This is a pretty popular fragrance from this house. It's also created by Cécile Zerokian, and it is definitely gourmand, milky coffee latte kind of an experience, but it's also buttery. There's definitely like textural experience of like this kind of like butter texture in here when you wear this particular fragrance. I don't know if you guys experience fragrances in textures. I do, and I do experience it here. It's textural, and it's also a little granular as well, but it features notes of cinnamon, milk, butter, coffee, caramel, vanilla, heliotrope, tonka beans, sandalwood, musk, and rose. So it's a coffee fragrance, but not uber overdose of coffee. It's the coffee and the milk and the butter and the caramel. It's a gourmand, definitely a gourmand, but definitely powdery. And as I was saying, it's definitely kind of got a granular experience. So Café Cabanel from the house of Théo Cabanel is at number 16. Moving on to the house of Map of the Heart, it's Gold Heart, Volume 4 or version 4. So I don't know if you guys know this particular house. I'm going to spray this one on. It's been a while I have really worn it, and I actually have a full review of it on the channel. This is definitely milk, like literally milk, but overdose of spices. It's almost like you've taken milk and you've put like a bunch of peppercorns inside, kind of like stirred it up and stirred it up and stirred it up. So it's a peppery, milky experience. Definitely lots of it. But you've also added some cardamom in there and saffron, and then of course lots of woods. So the saffron is aromatic, spicy, and there's definitely kind of like a leathery undertone here with this one as well. But it's full on pepper, like lots of it, almost to the point of like making you sneeze. But it's really great. I really enjoy this one, and it reminds me of a designer fragrance, and I'm not thinking what it is, and I couldn't figure it out when I was you know, reviewing this one a couple of years ago. But definitely a great fragrance. Map of the Heart, Gold Heart, Version 4. Check that out if you like the idea of a milky, lactonic, spicy fragrance. Moving on to the house of Montal, we've got two Montal fragrances here, and they do good gourmands. It's Vanilla Cake first. Vanilla Cake is definitely cakey and, you know, doughy, kind of a vanillic, milky, lactonic experience. So it features notes of meringue, milk, vanilla, caramel, almonds. You definitely experience a cakey experience. Definitely very gourmand, and also very lactonic, but very sweet and powdery as well. So Vanilla Cake, yum fragrance from the house of Montal. I've got two here on the list. Moving on to the house of commodity, it's Milk, this one right here. So Milk comes in 3 versions. The Minus, which is more of a minimalistic wearing experience, and of course the regular, and then there's the Plus. I decided to go with the Milk, the original, which is just Milk, no Minus, no Plus. I find it to be the milkiest because Milk Plus definitely is nice. It's really, really great, but it's more woody. Here you really do experience a very milky experience, very, very cozy. And Milk Plus is cozy as well, but lots of woods, as I said. But Milk from commodity features cold milk, marshmallow, mahogany wood, Tonka beans. There's definitely sweetness there. It's fluffy, it's creamy, it's cozy, and it's really, really delicious. So Milk from the house of commodity at number 13. Moving on to the house of L'Orchestre Parfum, this is Piano Santal. This is milk with sandalwood, and they create a milky, creamy overdose, which is definitely what you have here. But this one also features a skin note, like a human skin kind of a note. So it's got this musky, lightly kind of animalic experience here. But it's loads of milk, skin, sandalwood, cashmeran, cumin, white musk, ambroxan, cedar, bergamot. Did you hear me say cumin? It's skin, right? So skins tend to have a kind of like a sweaty smell. So there is a little bit of that in there. I don't think it's overwhelming, but it's very, very cozy. Very, very cozy experience of this milk and sandalwood together with the skin, and of course the cumin comes in as well. So it's definitely musky experience. Piano Santal at number 12. Moving on to the house of Parfums de Parfum. This is Milky Musk, this one right here. So we had Molton Brown's Milk Musk. Then we also have Parfums de Parfum's Milky Musk, but Molton Brown's Milk Musk came years after Milky Musk was launched. And once again, this is a woody experience, very, very sandalwoody, but very, very creamy. There's no milk note mentioned in here, but it does have a kind of a creamy, milky, lactonic experience, but it's very, very cozy, very, very cozy. It's musky, cozy, a little sweet, and definitely very, very woody. So it's Milky Musk from the house of Parfums de Parfum at number 11. Then moving on to the house of Zadig & Voltaire at number 10, it's This Is Her. This is definitely really, really good. It's the complete opposite of, This Is Him in the black bottle, but this is a very, very cozy experience, and once again, it's sandalwood. But it features sandalwood along with whipped cream, cashmere wood, chestnut, pink pepper, silkwood blossom, and jasmine. Yes, definitely, there's no milk mentioned here. It's definitely very, very milky and lactonic experience with some light woody nuttiness. And then I think it's the whipped cream here that kind of contrasts with the sandalwood and blends really beautifully together to give us that kind of cozy lactonic experience. This is Her from the house of Zadig & Voltaire. Check that out. And then at number 9, going to the house of Costume National, this is 21. So here we have a milky, ambery, spicy experience. And I think this one, kind of going back to that other fragrance where we had the saffron, the gold heart from the Map of the Heart. Sort of kind of similar, but this one seems a little more complex. There's a lot more layers and a lot more notes in this, but it does feature milk, amber, saffron, and then there's also cumin, black pepper, cashmere wood, along with orange blossom, labdanum, patchouli, vanilla, and tonka beans. This is definitely much more complex, but definitely you experience the layers, you experience the floral touches of the orange blossom, lots of muskiness and an ambery experience, but an overdose of milk. So Costume National 21 at number 9. So moving on to number 8, recently I featured this one in my coconut fragrances video, and back to the house of COMPTOIR Sud Pacifique. This is Cocoa Extreme. I find this one to be a lot more milkier than Vanille Extreme, and I think it's just because there's loads more milk as a note, plus it's the coconut. Coconut has a creaminess, kind of like a coconut milk has milkiness, of course, so the addition of the two together, and it creates a very milky, lactonic experience. But it's loads of coconut with milk, there's vanilla, there's almonds, there's tonka, and there's some sugar. So it's a gourmand, beachy, tropical, coconutty, milky, lactonic, sweet experience. Great, delicious fragrance. Cocoa Extreme from the house of COMPTOIR Sud Pacifique. Moving on to the house of État Libre d'Orange. This is the Ghost in the Shell. Very, very unique, milky fragrance. Very floral, but also musky. Like there's a major muskiness here, and I have to be honest, there's notes in here that I don't know what they are. They're very kind of molecular, kind of technical, scientific named notes. So there's aqual, yuzu, hexyl acetate, jasmine absolute mugain, milky skin accord, moss accord, vinyl guaiacol, orchanox. So very, very complex notes, but it's a very, very milky experience, but also very, very floral. And I believe that jasmine absolute mugain, muguet is lily of the valley. I do get definitely lots of jasmine in here, and also kind of a lily of the valley like greenness. So it's very, very unique fragrance, but definitely very, very cozy, very milky. But it's not like you're swimming in milk. It's just like dabbling in milk. But I think what they've done here is really, really great smelling. The Ghost in the Shell from the house of Etat Libre Orange. Moving on to the house of Luban, it's Corrigan. This is such an amazing smell, and kind of sort of similar to the Gold Heart and also the 21. I really love this fragrance, and they don't use milk in the notes, but it's got major milkiness. It's an amazing fragrance. Really, really great fragrance from this house. Very unique. In fact, I featured it in a video of my most unique smells, and I really definitely think it's definitely unique. But it's loads of leather with whiskey, ambrette, musk, cognac, saffron, juniper, lavender, oud, and vetiver. No milk whatsoever mentioned as a note, but it is very, very milky, caramelly. It's kind of like caramel and milk swimming together and creating this like milky accord, and sweet milky kind of accord. But then there's like these medicinal touches in here. It's from the ambrette note that's featured in here. It's very, very musky. Plus it has some light fruitiness and some booziness. Of course, it's got the whiskey, and then it's got the cognac as well. Very, very unique fragrance. It's not for everyone. I think your palate has to be really, really wide, because it might come off a little strange, but whatever this perfumer did, he created amazing fragrance. So Corrigan from the house of Luban, it's a really, really great smelling fragrance. Moving on to the house of Montal, this is the second to last fragrance. Intense Cafe, you know, it is definitely very, very milky. It's lactonic experience, but there's no milk here whatsoever. And it's very, very rosy. So it's a rose, floral notes, coffee, vanilla, white musk, and amber. But the whole entire concoction, however they've created it, creates for a very milky, cozy, lactonic experience. And you know, they mentioned coffee. It's not very, very big on the coffee, but it's very, very big on the ambery touches, the rose, and the floral notes. Really, really delicious fragrance. Intense Cafe from the house of Montal. And I can't believe I'm putting this here. This is one of two fragrances from this house, but the second fragrance is the bonus fragrance here. This is going to the house of Kilian. It's Good Girl Gone Bad Extreme. Oh my god, so delicious. This is really, really this kind of fruity tea milk kind of a combo with loads of osmanthus, with milk, tuberose, narcissus, jasmine, rose, amber, cedar. And it seems like it's a complex fragrance, and I'm only experienced with the extreme, not really experienced with the original. And I don't even know if the extreme is still available. I'm just recommending it because if you can find it, get it. Because I think it's really, really great. One of my favorites from this house, and it really, really comes alive in the heat. It creates for this kind of like a fruity tea milk kind of a combo with lots of white flowers kind of a thing. It's created by Alberto Morillas, and I think this is a great fragrance. Good Girl Gone Bad Extreme at number 4. This is a really, really great fragrance from the house of JACQUES. This is Remember Me. Remember Me is such a pleasure to wear. I like the whole fusion of the milkiness, the tea. It's warm, it's spicy, and then there's vanilla in there to sweeten things up. Cardamom to give you that pungent aromatic spiciness, but fresh spicy. Add in some ginger for some zing and spice and bite. And then there's a little bit of a tropical floral note in here of frangipani. But the composition is just gorgeous, and it wears beautifully cozy. Really, really love this particular fragrance. Remember Me from the house of JACQUES. Absolutely delicious fragrance. And then number 2, going to the house of XERJOFF, but in the Casa Moratti collection, it's Italica. This is delicious, very, very delicious, but full-on gourmand. And, you know, I feel like Vanilla Cake from Montal might kind of have a similar idea. There's But I think XERJOFF has executed this fragrance a lot better than the MOLTON has. I much prefer this particular fragrance because it's really, really delicious. But it's loads of saffron with almonds, milky notes, bourbon vanilla, toffee, sandalwood, white musks. It's really, really delicious, as I said. And it's nutty, it's a cookie and milk all together. Like, you know, a guilty pleasure to have cookies and milk together with, you know, like cookies made with some nuts or something. Really, really yummy. So this is Casa Morati Italica from the house of XERJOFF. And are you ready for my number one? This is probably the very first fragrance that I ever got that I discovered had milkiness. Currently, it's in a different collection available. I thought it was discontinued, but it is back. It is back on their website. But the sad thing is this brand is not distributed here in this country anymore. You can buy directly from their website. This is from the house of CERJOFF. This is Jeu de Peau, one of my very first milky fragrances, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's currently selling in a bell jar, just so you know. It is distributed, it is not distributed, but it is sold. It's not discontinued. I mean, they discontinued it from this bottle and moved it into a bell jar. But what I like about this fragrance is milk, lots of it, wheat, so it's gourmand, kind of bready, licorice, love it, coconut, immortelle, sandalwood, apricot, spices, osmanthus, woods, and amber. It's an absolute delicious treat to wear. I like the whole combination of notes. You got the breadiness, you got the milkiness, that licorice. Where did they throw that in there from? But it works, kind of a thing. Coconut to add this kind of like a tropical experience, and that immortelle to give you that kind of butterscotchy, brown sugar caramelized experience. So delicious, guys. Jeu de Peau, my number one favorite milky lactonic fragrance, and it definitely deserves it. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. What are your thoughts on these fragrances? Are you a fan of lactonic milky fragrances? Is there a favorite here? And also, if there's something missing, I'm always curious to try. I really, really love lactonic milky fragrances. If you have one that I did not speak about today, please put a comment down so I can find out what it is, so I can check into it. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. And I do have one bonus fragrance for you guys, and the bonus fragrance is going back to by Kilian or Kilian. It's Black Phantom. And even though they don't mention the milk in this particular fragrance as a note, I get a very milky experience. Very much so, and it reminds me of Irish coffee that you can go to Buena Vista here in San Francisco to have, because it's made with coffee, whiskey, and of course milk added in there. It's a delicious gourmand, very, very milky to me, but it's, you know, full of coffee and things like that. But it features notes of dark chocolate, rum, caramel, coffee, sugarcane, almonds, sandalwood, heliotrope, and I think it's probably the caramel and sandalwood together to create this kind of like a milkiness here. It's delicious. Black Phantom from the house of by Kilian, and that's the bonus fragrance for you guys. Stay tuned for another video tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.